Hey, how's it going? What's your name?
What kind of car do you drive?
It's a Saturn with a brown door and a burrito decal on the hood.
OMG, not interested. Kick rocks with your head down.
Welcome to the Unapologetic Man podcast, the only podcast that's all about self-improvement, confidence, success, women, and being a man without making any apologies for it.
What is up, you champions? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Uniform Mike Papa. My name is Mark Singh, and I'm here to put the battery in your back. I'm here to make you a legendary coxman, the kind of guy who does more anal damage than Ron Jeremy in a midget porno. I'm here to get you so much sex that your penis is going to look like a shriveled burn victim hiding in the corner of your underwear, and you're going to need Mark Singh's penis rejuvenation ointment just to get yourself back in the game. Yes, gentlemen, today is one of the most important topics I could ever discuss with you: why you should never, ever, under any circumstance, qualify and or sell yourself to a woman. If she tries to make you sell yourself to her, you absolutely, unequivocally do not do it, because it makes you look tryhard, it makes you look needy, it makes you look low value. Before we jump into the content, gentlemen, I got yet another review of my 3-month coaching program, the only program that is going to 10x your results with women. That is my guarantee, gentlemen. I will 10x your results with women, or you stay in the program until you achieve that result. Nobody has that kind of guarantee. Nobody has the success rates that I do. Listen to this testimonial that I just got from my boy Brian. He says, "Hey, Mark, just wanted to send you a quick note. Brother, to say that your program exceeded my expectations is an understatement. You have definitely surpassed 10xing my results with women." Listen to that one, boys. "I've experienced having options which I haven't felt in decades. I've enjoyed sex with more than a few women during the course of the program, and I've been able to observe game in the field, and I can see mistakes that I was making and other people make in real time. My confidence compared to what it was at the beginning of this program is literally night and day. I am the mechanism that determines my success. With much appreciation, Brian." Brian, I appreciate you, man. And if you want to get the same kind of results as Brian did, gentlemen, you know what to do. Just click the link in the description below. Read through the sales page, see the testimonials, see all the videos that guys have sent me attesting to how powerful this program is, because I use NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, as well as teaching you the technical aspects of how to deal with women, which, get this, boys, some dating coaches don't even teach what I'm about to teach you, which is frame control and why you should never, under any circumstance, qualify yourself to a woman. All right, so first we're going to break this out and tell you a basic rule that a lot of guys don't know, because when I tell you this, you're going to laugh, having seen many guys in the bars, nightclubs, parties, at your college, at your work, wherever you happen to be, doing this exact thing when they're attracted to a woman. And that is trying to sell themselves to that woman, trying to make themselves look better than they actually are. Have you guys noticed that a lot of guys will drop hints about how high value they are to women in the first conversation? They will, for example, work into the first 3 sentences that there's such things as a lawyer, a doctor, or they have a lot of money. Or, as I often see in the nightclubs out here in Denver, they'll wear like a Ferrari hat or be dangling the Ferrari emblem off their keys. They'll work into the first conversation that they're very rich. This is absolutely horrible to do with women, because women know when you're trying to impress them and it turns them off. Think about it logically, okay? If you're a girl and a guy comes up to you trying to brag and tell you about all the great things about himself, you immediately think that he doesn't feel like enough just being who he is. This is why when you brag to women, they immediately get turned off, because it shows he doesn't feel like enough just in his conversation, his presence, his bearing, his frame, and his game to be able to attract me. This is the thought pattern that goes through their head, and it happens quite subconsciously, which is why they oftentimes try to test you guys. Now, if you've listened to my podcast for any amount of time, you'll know that I teach this concept called frame control. Now, get this, brother. Some dating coaches, as I mentioned, don't even teach this. I actually just went through a dating program that one of my competitors, quote unquote, put out. absolutely blew my mind that they didn't teach these kind of concepts. They completely and utterly skipped frame control, which is the most important aspect of seducing a woman. Some people don't even teach it. I'm willing to say most dating coaches don't even teach it. So if you're going to hire somebody else rather than me, which is fine, you may not trust me, you may not want to work with me, make sure they teach frame control and make sure they work on what's going on inside your head to a very deep level. I use NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and I'm the only coach that does that. So frame control dictates you have to be leading the conversation and you have to feel like enough within yourself that you're not going to try to sell yourself to the woman, which is a huge mistake that many guys make. Now, as I mentioned, women will unconsciously test guys who are incongruent. They come up to them and they just have a little bit of a weird vibe, or they're acting confident, but there's something about their mannerisms, their tonality, which telegraphs they're not confident. So women are going to test you. Now, some of the tests that they do is getting you to try to sell yourself to her, such as the example at the top of the show. What kind of car do you drive? Now, the reason I'm dropping this episode is because Monday was my birthday and we went out on the weekend and a girl actually said this to me. And I was like, yes, dude, you just gave me some great content for yet another groundbreaking podcast episode. She literally said to me, what kind of car do you drive? And it was in a testing kind of way. And you have to stay tuned till the very end of this episode because I'm going to tell you about the number one misunderstanding of frame control. But it was that kind of test where she's like, so what kind of car do you drive? Kind of bitchy, kind of trying to get me to sell myself to her. And I said something similar to what I said at the beginning of the episode, but I did so in a sarcastic way. And I think I said, I drive a Kia barn burglar and it has a brown door with a burrito decal on the hood. Now, contrary to the beginning of this episode, where you could tell through my tonality that I was trying to sell myself to the girl, and really that beginning was just there to make you guys laugh. Contrary to that, I was very sarcastic with my delivery when that girl asked me that in the nightclub. She's like, so what kind of car do you drive? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's a Kia barn burglar. It's got a brown door with a burrito decal on the hood. And then she cracked up. That shows her that I'm not going to jump through your hoops. If, on the other hand, I did jump through her hoop and I was like, oh, you know, I drive a Ferrari. It's really nice. And I paid like $300,000 for it. And, you know, I got to take it in every month. And it's like $12,000 to do work on it each month. The thing is crazy. That looks bad because you're trying to impress her. You always want to answer any kind of qualifying question she has for you, trying to make you sell yourself to her sarcastically. And this goes into the 5 fundamental reversals of frame control. If you don't know what this is, I highly suggest you go into any and all my episodes and listen to anything titled frame control. I believe at this point, I probably have about 10 episodes, but we're going to go over some of the fundamentals here as to why you should never sell yourself to a woman. So when she asks you like a sell yourself kind of question, how much money do you make? What kind of car do you drive? What's your job? How much can you bench press? And don't get it twisted, boys. A lot of girls will ask you this. You have to, once again, come back with these kind of reversals. So the 5 frame control reversals are, first of all, agree and amplify, which is kind of what I did with my Kia barn burglar example. I said something totally silly, couldn't be real. She knows I'm just joking, which basically tells her, hey, listen, you're trying to get me to qualify myself to you, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to make a joke and completely avoid the question altogether. So that first one is agree and amplify. Make it completely ridiculous. If she's like, so what kind of job do you have? I only talk to guys who make X much money each year. And seriously, girls will say this to you, especially really hot girls who feel like they have some value. You would say something like, oh, dude, I work at the midget rodeo. I'm actually the dude that cleans the buttholes of the horses. It's an awesome job. I love it. I get paid like, I think it was like 13, but oh no, it's 14 bucks a week. Get paid 14 bucks a week. It's a pretty sweet job. This shows her I'm not trying to impress you. The next one is ignore. If she's like, what kind of car do you drive? What I could have done is just kind of look at her with my eyes, and guys, pay attention to this. What's really gangster to do is when you look at a girl with your eyes, don't tilt your head down to look at her Instead, keep your head straight and just look down at her with your eyes. A lot of you guys are probably taller than the girls you're talking to. And I'll do this when I'm in set. I'll keep my head like pretty straight and I'll look down on them with my eyes, which means I'm not even justifying the effort it would take to bend my head to look at you. And this is a very subtle body language type move that shows I'm higher value than you are. You're trying to get me to jump through your hoop. Ain't gonna happen. So ignoring communicates that same thing. You look down at her and you kind of smile and you kind of laugh. So she's like, so what kind of car do you drive? And you're like, anyway, and you change the subject. You start talking about something else, gangster level shit. The next one is reframe, which, as a lot of you guys know, are the 4 most important words in frame control. The real question is. So she's like, so what kind of car do you drive? Be like, the real question is, what kind of car do you drive? Do you have 17-inch rims? Because I can only talk to girls who have 17-inch rims on their ride. What do you got? And you basically flip it around on her. The next one is to misinterpret, which means you're misinterpreting what she says to mean something else. So she's like, what kind of car do you drive? And you're like, whoa, Missy, I know you're trying to get in my car so you could go home with me, but relax, we just met. You're misinterpreting what she said. She's trying to get you to sell yourself to her. And you say, whoa, I know you're trying to do XYZ thing. Relax, we just met. So if she's like, how much do you bench press? You would say, whoa, I know you're trying to get me to take off my shirt and show you my muscles, but relax, we just met. So it's always, whoa, I know you're trying to do this thing. Relax, we just met. And there's actually more than 5 boys. I teach them in my coaching program. But the other one I want to talk about is that what you do method. So if she says, what kind of car do you drive? Literally, boys, this chick said this to me within the first 3 sentences. I think I went up and I was like, hey, what kind of drink is that? That's a crazy looking drink. And she's like, oh, it's a this, that, and the third. And then she's like, what kind of car do you drive? And I could have said, is that what you do? A guy comes up to you and starts talking to you and you immediately start trying to test him on these kinds of questions. Is that how you do it? Is that how you play it? And it's basically calling out her method of trying to get you to sell yourself to her. So if a chick does something you don't agree with, say, is that what you do? Oh, is that what you do? You flake before a date? Is that what you do? You ask these kinds of questions on a first date? Is that what you do? When a guy opens you, and this happens all the time, boys, so listen up. When a guy opens you, girls will say, is that one of your pickup lines? And you say, is that what you do? You tell guys, is that one of your pickup lines? Is that one of your pickup lines? And you flip it. And this is another concept in frame control. God, I could do 100 episodes on this, and hopefully I eventually will. It's all about the other. You make it about her. Is that what she's doing? The real question is agreeing and amplifying. You're flipping it on her so she feels like a sea bass. And this is how you control the frame. You are the one who controls the picture frame around the picture of that which you're talking about. So if she does something socially intelligent or she tries to make you sell yourself to her, you need to call that shit out and be like, is that what you do? And or let her know that you're not going to do it with saying a funny joke. So as another example, she says to you, so what do you do for a job? And remember, boys, it has to be in a bitchy way. I really want you to get this. I'm going to talk about when it's a legit question in a second, but this is when she's kind of being bitchy. She's like, so what's your job? You say, oh, I'm a penguin valet. You didn't know this, but penguins actually fall over about twice an hour for each one. And if they fall over and they can't get up, they die. Well, penguins can get up. I don't know if you knew that. So I'm a penguin valet. I got to run around picking up all the penguins at the zoo, and they don't trust me if I'm wearing regular clothes. So I actually need to wear a tuxedo, and that thing gets so hot in the Denver sun, but what can you do? So I'm running around picking up penguins, getting them so they don't die. And last year, Kelly, I was Denver's Penguin Valet of the Year. You wouldn't believe it. It was awesome. And she's cracking up. She knows you're fucking with her. This is the essence of frame control. I'm not going to buy into the frame that you set out. You're trying to get me to sell myself to you? Ain't going to happen. Guys, never, under any circumstance, sell yourself to a woman. Now that begs the question, Mark, you tell us all the time to tell stories, to display value, to show her that we have a high value life. Yes, boys, that's true, but you're doing it in a way where it's slightly self-deprecating. We obviously don't have the scope to go into this on this episode, but I've done podcast episodes on this in the past. Storytelling is something you may want to search with my name, and I tell you how to do so to display value to women. But if she straight up challenges you, tries to get you to sell yourself to her, do not do it. Not to mention, boys, her questioning you, her asking you for favors, all of which I talk about in my 3-month coaching program, and make my boys assassins, just like I did Brian, who look at what he said. He's like, dude, I'm 10xing my results with women. I've had more sex. I've got hotter girls. It's because of these concepts, boys. These concepts that unbelievably some dating coaches don't even teach. I also work on your head with NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, making you feel like an alpha. So when a hot girl's like, if we went out, would we have fun? You would say the right thing, which would be what? I'm testing you. A girl's like, I don't know if I really want to go out with you. Would we have fun? What should you say? You would say, of course not. It would be the most boring date you've ever had. I hope you enjoy just sitting there, staring at the wall and talking like maybe every 20 minutes. We're basically going to meditate the whole time. So if that isn't the kind of date you like, I'm afraid I'm not the right guy to take you on a date. This girl, boys, is so hot. She gets guys flying her to Dubai, taking her out to beautiful dinners, doing whatever the hell she wants. And you come along and you say, yeah, we're basically going to meditate the whole time and not talk. And you're actually going to be a little bit emotionally bruised by hanging out with me because I'm such a horrible conversationalist. This shows this dude's not needy. He's not trying to get me. He's attractive. Now, as a caveat to this, and I know a lot of you guys are getting deep into it, you're getting a little tired, but stick with me here. As a caveat to this, there is an instance where you can answer her question, and that is after you've qualified her, which is the 4th pillar in my 4 pillars of attraction, another concept that my boys like Brian master when they come into the program. The 4th pillar of the 4 pillars of attraction is qualifying, exactly what she's trying to do to you. You ask her, what's good about you beyond your looks? What would your best friend say is the coolest thing about you? Do you know why you're awesome? And she's like, why? And you say, it was a question, dum-dum. And she laughs and then qualifies herself to you. We do want girls to sell themselves to us. We do not want to sell ourselves to women. I want to repeat that. You want her to sell herself to you, but you do not want to sell yourself to her. If you could get that dynamic correct, then if you ask her a qualifying question, what would your best friend say is the coolest thing about you? And she answers it. She's like, oh, I'm loyal and I'm fun and I'm really a great person and I give to charities each month. And yeah, I just feel like I'm a great person. And then she's like, well, what about you? What's great about you? You don't want to just avoid it. You can answer that question. I will usually answer it in a funny way. I'll say something like, oh, dude, I actually mastered night hearing. What's awesome about me is I can hear at night now. There were years where I couldn't hear at night, but now I go out at night and I can actually hear. I'm so pumped. Now, real talk, I'd say I'm probably the most loyal person my friends have ever had. If I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. If I borrow money, I pay it back. Every word I say by definition is a promise. And I really try to live up to that because honor is really important to me. So it's that mix of being playful and being serious that you have to get down. Because some of you guys might be listening. You might be like, dude, this guy's a jackass who just avoids all her questions and comes back with these stupid replies. Well, first of all, yes, if she's challenging me. Secondly, you have to put yourself in context. You're sitting here listening to a podcast with your rational mind being like, would that work? No, it wouldn't. That's stupid. You have to be in the context of playfulness. Out at a nightclub, you guys are flirting and you say, yeah, I'm a penguin valet. That kind of shit hits really well. But if she answers your question with genuine intent, then yes, you can answer it back. First, usually with the joke, and then usually the real answer. Now, another thing that might happen to you, she might try to seemingly qualify you on the dating apps or on Instagram or over texting. So she might say to you, so, hey, what kind of car do you drive? But you don't know if she's testing you or if it's a sincere question. So what you do there is you do both. You do the funny thing. I drive a Kia barn burglar. It has a brown door and a burrito decal on the hood. If that's a deal breaker for you, we should probably part ways. Ha, 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 right? Then you say, no, real talk. I drive a Toyota 4Runner that's lifted. Why? Is the car I drive important to you or something? And that could be the way you take that. So it's all contextual. It's all based on where she's coming from, her tonality, if she's qualified herself to you already. And guys, you need to have an experience where you can have these real life interactions rather than hiding behind a podcast, being a podcast jockey, as I call people like this, who just listen to podcasts and like take notes and say, yeah, one day, once I learn enough, I'll get out there and try it. No. My program puts you out there so you can have these experiences in real time. The reason Brian, the dude whose review I read at the top of the show, is getting such good results is because we put him in real life situations with tons of girls that we are going to help you meet so that you master these concepts, you deliver them perfectly, and then what happens? Just like Brian, you 10x your results, you get more sex with hotter girls, you're more confident. You see, as he said, you see situations unfold in real time. You could look at a guy and be like, oh, dude, I know what he's doing wrong. Listen to that guy. He's selling himself to that woman. Or he's bragging about how he's a plastic surgeon in the first 3 sentences of his conversation. It looks try hard. It looks like you don't feel like you're enough. What you need to do when she's trying to get you to qualify yourself to her is flip it with those ways that I talked about. Then you get her to sell herself to you. Then if she asks you the same question, you can answer it in first a funny way and then the real way. This is the way to get women attracted, boys. Never, under any circumstance, try to sell yourself to a woman. It's just going to kill her attraction. Gentlemen, I do appreciate you listening. Before you go, click that link below. My coaching program, watch the videos, read the reviews, see what's included. And if it feels like something you want to explore, put in your application. I'm going to email you directly. You and I are going to talk and see if we can 10x your results with women, just like we do with every single guy who comes into the coaching program, including Brian. Brian, you are a legend. Have fun for the rest of your life, bro. Now that you have sexual choice, just imagine the possibilities. Just imagine, boys, what Brian's going to get up to while perhaps you're being a podcast jockey and refusing to invest in yourself. Just saying, bro. Just saying. We have a program here. It fucking works. So why not explore it? Put in your application today and you and I will talk. All right, boys, I do appreciate you listening. I drop podcasts on Mondays and Thursdays, so please stay tuned for the next one, and I will see you in the next episode.